What unfolds when the individual who possesses 20 distribution warehouses dons a fake beard and steel toe boots to operate his own loading dock? Nathaniel Foster inherited the company from his father 5 years prior. At 39, he presented a polished appearance, often dedicating his days to meetings and navigating through spreadsheets. Recently, there had been a steady stream of complaints regarding slow deliveries, damaged packages, and some murmurs about unsafe practices at one of the warehouses. Warehouse 12, located in the industrial sector of Dayton, Ohio, reported the due lowest figures. Orders are being processed at a slower pace compared to all other locations. Despite the high turnover, the manager's reports consistently depicted an overly optimistic scenario. Nathaniel had yet to encounter the majority of the staff at the newer facility, which had been established just a year prior to his arrival, prompting him to make a call. Engaged a top-tier makeup artist, let his stubble grow, changed his hair, color, and arrived on a Monday morning under the alias Nick Finley, a prospective new employee, temporarily involved in a company pilot initiative aimed at evaluating entry-level training. Not a soul had an inkling. "Hello, Nick, is that correct?" spoke a slender figure clutching a clipboard, his face marked by a constant 5 o'clock shadow. "Greetings, I'm Kyle, the shift supervisor. Today you'll be assigned to Dock 3. Would you care to join me?" "Absolutely," Nathaniel replied, his tone gruffer than normal. He adjusted the cap over his darkened hair and followed Kyle past rows of pallets and forklifts. The warehouse buzzed with noise, a cacophony of machinery intertwined with an undercurrent of palpable tension. The employees hardly exchanged a word. Many merely nodded or averted their gaze. Nathaniel received a handful of weary looks, the atmosphere, thick with a blend of stale air, diesel, and an indefinable something. Incisive, a chemical sting. Kyle brought him over to Jamal, a lanky fellow in his 20s who appeared as though he hadn't rested in ages. "Jamal is dependable. He will guide you through everything. Stay out of the way, and everything will be all right." Jamal offered a weary, half-hearted smile. "Have you ever operated a pallet jack?" "Not at all, it's my first experience." "Very well," Jamal grunted. "Let's make it straightforward." They toiled in quietude for a time. Jamal demonstrated the art of scanning labels, the technique of stacking boxes, and the crucial skill of dodging forklifts. Sweat trickled down Nathaniel's spine. The task was challenging, truly challenging. However, what stood out the most wasn't the effort put in, but rather the minimal support the workers received. There are no indications of the manager's presence. No updates. Not a water station in sight. At midday, Jamal rested against the bay door, wiping the sweat from his brow. "Do you have some time off?" "Not just yet." He chuckled softly. Kyle likely overlooked it or simply wasn't concerned. Nathaniel nodded in agreement. "It seems like you're a bit short on staff." Indeed, 2 individuals decided to leave just last week. They expressed their weariness with being regarded as mere machines. Jamal cast his eyes along the length of the dock. However, assistance is not forthcoming. Kyle simply urges to increase the pace. Nathaniel remained silent. He trailed behind Jamal into the cramped break room, which was barely air-conditioned. The vending machine was out of order. A handful of individuals lingered in quietude, absorbed in the glow of their devices. A woman in her 40s, clad in a back brace, grimaced as she lowered herself into a seat. Back on the floor, Kyle issued commands from a clipboard, yet he refrained from handling a single box. He raised his voice at a younger guy, Devin, for taking too long to unload a truck. Devin appeared on the verge of losing consciousness. Nathaniel maintained his composure, yet within him a turmoil churned. In the mid-afternoon, Kyle instructed Nathaniel to assist with unloading a truck that was stationed in the far right corner of the lot. Dock 6. Simply unlock it and begin arranging your belongings inside. Please refrain from touching anything in the back half. Understood. Why not the rear? Nathaniel inquired. Kyle's gaze sharpened. Simply put, that's my decision. Nathaniel strolled toward Dock 6. The sun blazed overhead. With a swift motion, he released the latch of the truck and raised the door, revealing what lay inside. The front section consisted of standard pallets filled with canned goods and paper products. However, what about the latter part? He stood, still. Drums echoed in the air, unlabeled. One was broken. A pungent chemical odor assaulted him more intensely than before. He retreated, choking on the air. No tags, no hazardous material signs. Jamal approached him from behind. "Hey, do you catch that scent?" "Indeed," Nathaniel replied, maintaining a calm demeanor. Jamal shook his head, clearly aware of what that stuff is. "I've been here for weeks. Kyle advises against touching it." Nathaniel slammed the truck door shut and yanked the latch down with force. There was an unmistakable sense of unease. He returned to his tasks, yet his mind remained preoccupied with it. Untitled percussion instruments, dripping, kept in proximity. To food items, there are no safety signs present, no one is monitoring, and Kyle observed the way Nathaniel's hands shook while he piled another box. He had arrived to uncover the reasons behind the warehouse's lackluster performance. Yet, at this moment, a more profound reality was unfolding. A perilous situation. Tuesday began with a chill in the air. Nathaniel pulled up the company-issued hoodie and entered the warehouse as the first light of dawn began to break. The atmosphere within was laden with an oppressive blend of fumes and chemical remnants. The damaged drum at the rear of the trailer remained untouched. There are no indications to be found, no restrictions. It felt like it was never there. All Jamal was absent that morning. "Where is Jamal?" Nathaniel inquired of the man organizing the shipping manifests by the office entrance. The man shrugged, his gaze fixed elsewhere. He mentioned feeling dizzy throughout the night. Nathaniel tightened his jaw, a silent storm brewing within him. Is anyone looking in on him? Only if he's bleeding. Kyle emerged from the office, casually munching on a breakfast sandwich, as if he were completely unbothered by anything around. "Him? Nick, please head to Dock 4 this morning. The state of that truck is quite disheveled. I need it resolved before lunch." Nathaniel gave a silent nod and made his way to the truck. The boxes were precariously arranged, teetering to the left, with the heavier items precariously perched on top. The packing clearly reflects a lack of attention or urgency on the part of the person responsible. He approached from the side, deliberate and careful, aiming to avoid any potential collapse. As the clock approached mid-morning, an unusual occurrence caught his attention. A young woman, perhaps 19 or 20 at the most, was laboriously attempting to pull a pallet across the floor, hindered by a malfunctioning jack. Her face flushed with effort, and she frequently cast anxious glances around her. "Are you okay?" Nathaniel inquired, approaching her, and she flinched. "I'm okay, but this jack is really messed up. I informed Kyle 2 days back, but he mentioned that there isn't any budget for new ones." Nathaniel knelt down and examined the handle closely. Was fractured at the foundation, teetering on the brink of collapse. The wheels were caked in dirt, their movement hindered by layers of neglect. "May I ask your name, Marcy?" "You were aware, for a week and a half." He observed the calluses on her hands. Marcy paused before saying, "If you mention the jack to anyone else, I do not. I make an effort to avoid expressing dissatisfaction." She tugged the pallet slightly and grimaced. That sufficed. Nathaniel made his way to the office. Kyle leaned over the desk, his attention captured by something on his phone, the volume turned down low. He kept his gaze fixed downward. Nathaniel lingered in anticipation. Silence. "Hey," Nathaniel stated with conviction. Kyle finally made the turn. "Excuse me? The jack that Marcy is using poses safety risks. She struggles to control it." "Indeed, I'm aware. Last month I submitted a request for replacements. Unfortunately, it wasn't approved. In that case, it would be best for her not to utilize it." Kyle let out an exasperated sigh. "So, you've been around for what, 2 days now? Each person contributes equally. We don't have any extras available." Nathaniel remained silent. He retraced his steps, retrieved the jack from Marcy, and exchanged it with her. "You take my pallet," he said. "Yours may take a moment." She offered him a thankful nod and proceeded toward Dock 2. By noon, Nathaniel felt a searing pain in his back. Each step became a struggle due to the broken jack, yet he persevered with determination. As he finally hobbled back into the break room, the atmosphere was thick with soft whispers. A small group of workers gathered around Devin, who had propped his foot on a chair as he carefully untied a drenched work boot. He recounted the moment he dropped a box of bleach. Passed directly through the cardboard. Nathaniel moved in closer, his gaze fixated on the raw skin marred by the chemical's cruel splash. "Are you all right?" he inquired. Devin raised his gaze. "It stings intensely. Kyle advised me to wash it off with water and return to the field." "Have you completed the incident report?" Devin let out a harsh, humorless laugh. He remarked that the paperwork wasn't worth the effort. Nathaniel paused, frozen in place for a brief moment. He stepped out of the office and made his way into the parking lot. He retrieved his personal phone and dialed the regional safety officer. "A message has been left." His voice carried a serene yet purposeful quality. "Allow me to introduce myself. I am Nathaniel Foster. I find myself at Warehouse 12 in Dayton. A chemical exposure has resulted in an injury. The incident went unrecorded, and the manager advised against making a report. I require a comprehensive audit to be conducted right away." He ended the call, tucked the phone away into his hoodie pocket, and stepped back inside. As he returned to the floor, Kyle was summoning everyone to gather around. "Pay attention," he declared, his voice elevated. "Corporate safety will be visiting us tomorrow. I have no clue why. Everything must appear polished. That means no pallets obstructing pathways, no boxes scattered on the floor. And for heaven's sake, please wear your vests." Nathaniel observed the room. Silence enveloped the room. A few exchanged fleeting looks. An older man, leaning against a pallet as if it were his only support, bore a noticeable limp that hinted at a life of struggle. Kyle shifted his gaze toward Nathaniel. "You, Nick, you really have a knack for handling." "A fork negative. Then it's your turn to handle the sweeping. Ensure thorough cleaning beneath each bay." "I desire it to be immaculate." The broom he offered was marred by a crack that ran halfway down the handle, mended clumsily with duct tape. Nathaniel gazed at it intently, then set about his task with determination. Dust, wrappers, fragments of shattered plastic crammed into a bucket with a warped edge. He toiled quietly as Kyle observed from the office window, casually sipping his soda. As the sun began to dip in the sky, a truck rumbled into Dock 8. The driver emerged from the vehicle and passed a clipboard to one of the workers on the floor. Yet, rather than unloading, the driver leaned in and murmured something softly. "The Shahi." Employee stiffened and gestured for Nathaniel to come closer. "This individual expressed a desire to speak with a supervisor," he mentioned. Nathaniel made his way over. The driver inquired, "Do you work here?" "Indeed." "Hello there. For the past 3 months I've been visiting this place twice a week. The trailer in the corner shouldn't contain any chemical drums. That is freight suitable for food. I brought it up previously, but Kyle dismissed it as not my concern." Nathaniel gave a slow, deliberate nod. "Did you report it?" "Not at this moment. However, if that material contaminates the incorrect pallets, it could lead to illness or even more serious consequences," Nathaniel assured. "I'll ensure it gets taken care of." That evening he lingered beyond the end of his shift, sweeping once more. Next I strolled along the edges of the warehouse, meticulously examining the inventory tags. He gazed at the cameras. No one indicated Dock 6. He entered the restroom. The mirror bore a jagged crack, and the soap dispenser stood forlornly, devoid of its contents. A man entered behind him, not sparing a single look, simply positioned himself at the sink. "Have you had any previous work experience before this?" Nathaniel inquired. "Indeed." "Columbus facility. What made you go?" "Did not. I've been reassigned." "What is the reason?" "I was informed that they required more people here, but the situation has deteriorated significantly, much worse than before." He departed in silence, leaving no further words behind. Nathaniel lingered in that spot for a moment. The fractured glass revealed a figure marked by grime and the beginnings of calluses beneath his gloves. He appeared weary. "It's more than just the physical, there's a profound depth to it." The following morning unfolded with an unexpected twist. A white SUV glided into the lot just after dawn. Out emerged the regional safety officer alongside an inspector from the Department of Transportation. They made their way directly to the office. Kyle's voice resonated across the floor. "What on earth is this?" The inspector remained silent. Just received a clipboard and entered the room. For the next hour they explored every corner of the facility, captured images, reviewed the labels, inquiries made. Nathaniel maintained a low profile, relocated boxes, responded when inquired. Upon arriving at Dock 6, they paused to take in their surroundings. The inspector swung open the trailer door, retrieved a flashlight, and came to an abrupt halt. He ascended within. The safety officer trailed behind. A few moments later they emerged, expressions strained. The safety officer glanced back at Kyle, who had trailed behind them with evident hesitation. "This hasn't been logged. I was unaware of what it was. So, why instruct your team to leave it alone?" Kyle remained silent. "You've completed your task," she stated. The inspector gave a slight nod. "A report will be submitted to the state, and I will be suggesting an immediate temporary closure of this dock." Kyle's face flushed with color. "That's not possible." "I can," she said. "And I have just accomplished that." Nathaniel observed quietly from the periphery. The distant sound of a forklift's beep echoed in the background. A box tumbled somewhere. "No." One made a move to retrieve it. The safety officer surveyed the surroundings. A senior representative from corporate needs to be present here. At this moment, Nathaniel advanced. "I'm present," he stated. "My name is Nathaniel Foster." The stillness that followed was absolute. The employees stood still, caught in a moment of shock. A couple of mouths parted, then closed once more. Kyle's complexion faded to a ghostly hue. He exclaimed, "You must be kidding." Nathaniel replied with a firm, "No. I hold ownership. I've witnessed more than enough." The safety team dedicated hours to meticulously sifting through logs, examining storage conditions, and capturing images of the trailer that had contained the leaking chemical drums. Nathaniel stayed on the floor, still clad in his work attire, assisting in the final movements of the morning shipments alongside the rest of the team. Silence enveloped the room following his revelation. Some regarded him with a mix of astonishment and wariness. Some continued their tasks, caught in a haze, of uncertainty about the situation. He refrained from pushing them. Not at this moment. By early afternoon, the regional safety officer emerged from the office, clipboard in hand, and approached Nathaniel. "Dock 6 has been completely shut down," she stated. "This evening, a contracted hazmat team will be removing the drums. Whatever is contained within them remains unlabeled, and that fact constitutes a federal violation. I have also sent all the information to the State Environmental Agency." Nathaniel gave a single nod. "Thank you very much. What's the situation with Kyle?" "He has been removed from the premises. Interviews with the staff will take place over the next 48 hours to create a formal incident timeline." She took a moment to reflect. "A temporary replacement will be necessary." "I understand." After she departed, Nathaniel made his way to the break room. A handful of employees lingered throughout the room, nibbling on their lunches or gazing at the vending machine that remained out of order. Silence enveloped the room as he made his entrance. "I need someone to step up," he said quietly, standing by the doorway. "Not in a managerial role, just an individual who understands this environment more thoroughly than I do and can maintain operations while I determine the next steps." A man of considerable height in his 50s raised his gaze gradually. Gray streaked his temples, and worn out. Gloves hung from his belt. "I've been here since the very beginning," he remarked. "My name is Reggie. I'm not looking to win anyone over, but I understand how to ensure the trucks keep rolling without putting anyone in danger." Nathaniel nodded. "That is all I desire. Are you comfortable maintaining the current pace until we onboard someone new? I'll do my best, but we're down 3 team members this week. Another has been sidelined due to a back problem. Action is required. We need people on the ground, not mere assurances." Nathaniel assured that you would have both, commencing immediately. He stepped outside and discovered the operations terminal adjacent to the office. The login continued to function. He accessed the staffing schedules, reviewed the shifts, and navigated into the HR system. In a swift move, he coordinated with a mobile staffing unit to dispatch 3 temporary workers, ensuring the floor would be adequately covered in the coming days. It may not have been an ideal solution, but it was a step forward. Upon his return to the dock, Reggie had taken the initiative to reorganize the shifts. He maintained a composed yet assertive demeanor, providing explicit instructions and ensuring that each person was equipped with the necessary resources. He refrained from raising his voice. He maintained his distance. He simply toiled away. Nathaniel set aside another broken jack and began compiling a list of the damaged equipment. He incorporated the one Marcy had utilized and another featuring a wheel that emitted a screech with every rotation. The sun hung low in the sky as he caught sight of Jamal meandering through the side door. He moved as if he were grappling with lingering disorientation. "You shouldn't be here," Nathaniel said. "I simply cannot allow myself to lose another day." Nathaniel gestured for him to accompany him as they made their way to the stairs leading to the loading dock. "You encountered something unexpected. Medical clearance is required before you can return to the floor. That has never been mentioned before. I'm declaring it now." Jamal rested against the railing. "Do you believe they'll compensate me if I'm not available?" "They certainly will. I will ensure that happens." Jamal fixed his gaze on him, as if attempting to gauge the sincerity behind what could be yet another hollow assurance. Nathaniel expressed, "You were the only one who acknowledged my presence. You revealed the inner workings of this place to me. I will ensure that you aren't burdened by another's error." Jamal offered a subtle nod before turning to depart. As the shift came to a close, Nathaniel assembled the team at the rear of the warehouse. The sun had set, and the air outside was beginning to chill, yet the interior of the building retained the warmth of the day. He stated that he wasn't there to deliver a speech. "However, I have witnessed events over the last few days that demand my attention. Hazardous circumstances. Malfunctioning apparatus. There was a lack of assistance when challenges arose. That comes to an end now." A few individuals nodded in agreement. Onlookers simply observed. "I understand that trust takes time to restore, but I will be returning. And not merely for evaluations. I will be there collaborating with you and transforming this space from the ground up." Silence enveloped the room. No one applauded, yet some expressions softened. A handful straightened their posture. As the final truck was secured and the last manifest was completed, Nathaniel lingered in the stillness of the night. He circled the boundary once more, this time not as a concealed watcher, but as a figure of authority striving to understand what had unraveled. He discovered Reggie by the maintenance shelf, meticulously arranging tools. Nathaniel remarked that there was no need for you to remain. "It's all good," Reggie replied. This place required a jolt of energy. Individuals grew weary of shouting, "Into the emptiness." "Why didn't you speak up earlier?" Everyone participated. Nathaniel nodded, but only to someone who truly listened. "I take full responsibility for that. It can be resolved. Simply don't vanish once more, I shall not." As they stepped out side by side, Reggie secured the door with a decisive click. The lot outside lay in stillness. The overhead lights at the dock emitted a soft buzz, creating muted shadows that danced across the pavement. Nathaniel gazed at the row of trucks, motionless and quiet. He had arrived in search of inefficiency. What he discovered was disregard, not solely about equipment, but also about individuals. Tomorrow may not unfold as flawlessly as one might hope. Next week wouldn't work either, yet they would begin. And this time, he would be right there alongside them. After a fortnight, Nathaniel made his way back to Warehouse 12. This time, without pretense, not merely to watch, but to take action. The atmosphere of the facility had changed, not less noisy, not more gentle but increasingly aware, like the atmosphere changing just before a tempest. 3 temporary workers he had dispatched remained on site, rotating shifts to assist in covering the most critical staffing shortages. It's not a lasting solution, but it will suffice to halt the immediate crisis. He strolled through the entrance, his ID badge prominently displayed. No embellishments, it's unnecessary at this moment. Reggie encountered him indoors, clipboard firmly grasped, safety vest fastened all the way to the collar. "Good morning," Nathaniel remarked. Reggie marked something down and gestured toward the distant end of the building. "We continue to lag in. Our outbound efforts. That's the main obstacle we're facing at the moment. Insufficient skilled personnel for inventory verification. I'm ready to dive in. Are you certain? I didn't arrive to be a spectator." Nathaniel picked up a scanner and stepped into the queue. Every 10th pallet was found to have an issue, whether it was mislabeled, only partially shrink-wrapped, or marked with the incorrect dock number. The upstream issue was evident. Inadequate training at the intake stage. He noted it in his mind. A handful of employees cast him inquisitive looks. A few inclined their heads in agreement. No one paid him any mind. That was acceptable. Trust is cultivated gradually, not simply given with a gesture. After 2 hours, he moved aside and spotted Reggie by the dispatch desk. Nathaniel expressed the need to address the intake issue. "You've got a person who understands the art of training," Reggie remarked as he tapped the clipboard. Ever since Carlos departed, he used to lead orientation, but Kyle gradually replaced him last fall. "Where is Carlos at this moment?" "Moved to the Cincinnati warehouse. He expressed that he was unable to handle the pressure in this environment. Do you believe he would return? You should inquire with him." Nathaniel jotted down a note. He circled the perimeter once more, this time armed with a printed list detailing each lingering equipment defect. He paused at every pallet, jack and cart, examining them closely. He chose not to delegate it. He was eager to examine each bolt and wheel closely. Marcy moved past him by Dock 2, clipboard in hand, guiding a new temporary worker toward the packaging station. She appeared more assured now, concentrated and quicker in her pace. She captured his attention with a single nod. He found her by the shipping cage. "He noted that you have embraced additional responsibilities." "It was inevitable. I aim to remain. For the long haul, provided I can continue to advance. An entry-level supervisor program is set to launch soon. A training course must be completed. It can be quite challenging. I'm not seeking simplicity." He presented her with a printed application. "A recommendation from Reggie will be necessary, but I would support it wholeheartedly." By early afternoon, the regional human resources manager made their entrance. They gathered the rest of the crew for a brief meeting in the break area. This time, Nathaniel stood before them, not merely as the owner, but as one who had toiled. Alongside them, shared the same struggles and witnessed the overlooked truths. He started with a promise not to squander your time. "I witnessed occurrences here that breached not only regulations, but also fundamental standards of decency. That has come to an end. Starting today, safety is absolutely essential. Leadership will take responsibility, and everyone on this floor will receive the respect they deserve." A gentleman by the vending machine lifted his hand. "That sounds familiar." "Then they overlook our presence." Nathaniel remained unperturbed. "You will remain in my thoughts, for I shall return. Consistently unexpected. I'm bringing along individuals who are dedicated to repairing what's damaged, rather than just masking the issues." He faced the HR manager. "This facility will now have a dedicated safety advocate present on site, operating independently from management. Every employee has the opportunity to communicate with them directly, bypassing the need for a supervisor. That individual reports directly to my office." He cast a glance over his shoulder at the crew. "If anyone suggests that you shouldn't report an injury or declines to document a hazard, you can be sure they won't be around tomorrow." That's it. A fellow employee, a woman with tape burns adorning her fingers, posed the subsequent question. "What is the situation with the equipment? Time is slipping away due to malfunctioning jacks and faulty printers." Nathaniel gave a slight nod. "The full replacement order has been approved. All defective units will be discarded. Fresh equipment is set to arrive next week. Until that time, only the secure units remain in circulation. All other options are restricted." He took a moment to gather his thoughts. "I want to clarify something. If you witness any form of discrimination, be it racial, gender-based, age-related or otherwise, please report it directly to me or the advocate. It doesn't matter to me who it is. They will face immediate termination. No alerts." The audience fell silent. A gentle wave of agreement swept across the room. "Silence, please." A simple adjustment in stance, where individuals are no longer tensed for the impending impact. Following the meeting, Nathaniel convened with the floor leads in the office. The desk that once belonged to Kyle stood devoid of any belongings. He positioned himself at the conference table, facing them directly. "You've all witnessed the depth to which this place has sunk," he remarked. "Now I need you to assist in transforming it into something greater." One of the leads, a woman named Tanya, leaned in with intent. "Is it possible for us to have a voice in the scheduling of shifts? Much of the exhaustion stems from being placed into unpredictable schedules. Input will be provided. Next month we will be testing a new scheduling tool. However, I would like shift requests to be submitted directly to HR in the meantime. No intermediary filter. Additionally, Victor mentioned that we require improved onboarding. New employees often find themselves uncertain about their tasks much of the time. It isn't their responsibility. I'm focused on reintroducing Carlos. He crafted the final program. That truly functioned. Until then, I'll approve overtime for anyone willing to take on a mentoring role." Victor nodded slowly. "That's an initial step." Nathaniel rose to his feet. "I will return in 5 days. I look forward to witnessing advancement. Not flawlessness, merely a shift towards the right path." He exited the office and made his way to the outgoing dock. The sun began its descent over the parking lot, stretching elongated shadows through the overhead doors. He visited Jamal, who had come back after receiving medical clearance and was currently organizing the completed manifests. "You good?" Nathaniel asked. "Better than I've been in a while," I replied. "Have you thought about embracing additional responsibilities?" Jamal appeared uncertain. "I never expected to have this opportunity. Your demeanor is impressive. All you require are the right instruments. Submit your application for the supervisor training program." "You've earned your chance," Jamal acknowledged with a deliberate nod. "Absolutely, I will." The air outside was becoming cooler. In the distance, the deep growl of trucks echoed, their tires crunching over the gravelly terrain. Nathaniel lingered at the dock's edge, observing the forklift as it maneuvered the final load of the day. The task remained unfinished, far from complete, yet the decay that had remained hidden was now laid bare, recorded, and systematically removed bit by bit. For the first time since taking over the company, Nathaniel sensed a change, not in the figures, not in the graphs, but in the individuals around him. The individuals who bore the burden, the individuals who were present even when gratitude was absent, the individuals who remained, holding on to the hope that improvement was possible. At long last it would indeed.